All right, welcome to the Mana Drain podcast. This is the show where you get all the information. Well, maybe not all the information. We talk about the Magic the Gathering card game, all about it, everything, new sets, new cards. We do product opening. We have a whole bunch of different content that we talk about here on the show. This is a weekly podcast, goes live every Monday. Right about the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock hour. We started a little late today. I do apologize. It's finally the weather's starting to turn here in Dayton, Ohio. So we decided to go out and have some fun outside with the kids. My wife's a photographer, Angel, and we also went ahead and did a photo shoot with our oldest son. We had some fun. We had some fun tonight. So the podcast got started a little bit later than normal. So I do apologize for that. However, we've got a show to talk. We've got some stuff to talk about. Not a lot. It's going to be a shorter show, but we've got some stuff to talk about. I'm Moxie Gilborn again. I'm your host. We're going to be talking all about some good stuff today. So let's kind of get into it. With what we've got planned to talk about. First up, there was a article that was released earlier today on the mothership, Magic the Gathering, or magic.wizards.com, whatever you want to do, magic.com. And it's by Blake Rasmussen. It kind of says news from the editor, odds and ends, and it's got some pretty big information here. Talks about how Dominaria is the largest pre-release ever, yada yada yada, but it's also got information about Battlebond, and that's something that I wanted to talk a little bit about today and kind of highlight. And then also it goes into there's going to be 5 Planeswalker decks in the core set, and then kind of going forward into the new core sets after that. So we've got some new core set information there, and then last but not least, we've got some new content planned for the channel. So we want to go over that information with you guys. We've got some announcements that we want to go over, some really cool things that we've got in the works that are. They're a little further out than I hoped. There's a couple of them that I thought would be starting production in May, but it doesn't. In April, but it doesn't look like it's going to start April. So we've kind of got a plan for the future here. I'm really looking forward to it. So make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Get subscribed. We got a whole bunch of Magic the Gathering content along with like video game content. Fortnite's been a pretty big stream lately, so we're kind of getting off on that front there. So just make sure you do that for us. Share the channel, whatever you can do to tell other players that enjoy our same hobbies, our same games, Magic or not Magic, whatever, that we're out here making some fun content. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start first. Let's switch gears here. So here's the article, news from the editor, odds and ends, by Blake Rasmussen. So basically it kind of goes in, talks about how Dominaria was the largest, and I'll just kind of touch on this, largest pre-release ever. I can attest to this because we talked about it last week on the show as far as being late to, or it's not late to the Two-Headed Giant, but we didn't pre-register for the Two-Headed Giant release, and we missed out on it because it was full, and that's never happened before. So yeah, I can definitely believe that this was a huge, homecoming for a lot of modern Magic players. Dominaria is where it all began, and this set really did have. It had some iconic characters. It had some iconic spells. Well, I guess not. It had callbacks. It didn't really have iconic spells. It really had iconic callbacks to cards from way back in the day. So there was a lot of nostalgia for sure. So that goes without saying as far as best. Had the largest pre-release ever. So kudos to Wizards for launching a product that is fun to play. I'm looking forward to it, and when we get into the more content section of the podcast, we're definitely going to be using the Dominaria sets and release to our advantage. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But what I really wanted to talk about is this Battlebond section down here. So Battlebond is a new set. It's kind of like a supplemental product. Wizards does this from time to time. It's part of like their drafting or their limited play sets. So like the conspiracy sets, where they're just strictly sets that are confined to themselves. They're really meant for drafting. They're meant for just play, decks that are sets that are meant to play by themselves. They do allow these cards to go into legacy and vintage formats as well as commander, so they're not just for drafting. They have some purpose outside of there. I really wasn't too interested in Battlebond when it was announced. It kind of got lost in the fluff when I think when the announcement of Battlebond was like a footnote. When they originally announced it, there was a whole bunch of other announcements with what other content and sets that Wizards was coming out with. So it really didn't. What's the word? It didn't kind of spark my interest then. But after reading about it a little more, I really kind of think that this is going to be a really fun set for me. So one of the things that I'm interested in is it's a limited format that is based around two-headed giant, and as you guys well know, we've been playing a lot more of the two-headed giant just because my son's starting to play, and he's super interested in playing Magic, and it gives me an opportunity to play side by side with him. So I'm really enjoying it. So this might be maybe our best shot at really kind of making headway in the series, or in the format rather. So an actual set that is made specifically for two-headed giant. So this is, every set kind of has those cards, and we missed out this past pre-release on a video I really wanted to make that outlined the two-headed giant cards. And I mean, they're cards that have the word each opponent, a lot of each, like each opponent discards 2 cards, where normally if you pay 4 mana, have one opponent discard 2 cards, that's really not that good. But if you're playing in two-headed giant and that you pay 4 mana and it says each opponent discard, now you're getting 4 spells instead of just 2, and that is definitely worth it. Especially when you're thinking like, turn 4, turn 5 when you cast this, they only have 2 cards, and they've only have their, their 5, their 6, their 7, their bomb drops or whatever. So thinking, the decks and the sets, the set itself is designed to be played in sealed and limited two-headed giants formats. So that kind of has me curious. There's going to be a lot of each opponent and each player and each, maybe and it says there's also going to be, in the original announcement, it talked about how it's going to have more mechanics around the two-headed giant. So we're going to see things like you and your teammate, and things not necessarily teammate, but you and your teammate, you and your partner gain 5 life, and then each gain 5 life or whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with this set. But the other thing that kind of sparked my interest here is preview season is actually right around the corner, starting on May 21st. So we'll have some more pre-release videos going up. Those are a huge hit this last go around with Dominaria. So I'm really looking forward to having that extra extra information to make content and make videos for you guys. I'm really looking forward to it. As soon as I know when this pre-release is going to happen, if they're going to have a pre-release, you bet your bottom dollar that me and Eli are going to be hitting up that pre-register sheet for sure. So they also said that there's going to be tidbits of information that's going to be coming out leading up to that date, so keep an eye out there. The other thing, this is kind of a weird statement. Like, I'm not really too sure how to take this. So it says here, sealed two-headed giant typically uses 8 packs, and draft typically uses 6. Now, I'm not really 100% sure where they're coming from that information, because when we've done two-headed giant, ever since I can remember, you've always got 6 packs and your partner got 6 packs. So a total of 12. So I'm trying to figure out if they're thinking that you get 8 and 8, or 4 and 4. I'm not really 100% sure on that. But it would be really hard to make 2 decks out of only 4 packs of cards, or 8 packs of cards rather. But what they're saying here is that's changing with Battlebond, where Sealed will be using 6 packs and Draft will be using 4. It looks like Gavin Verhey is going to be explaining this later in May. So, I'm not really 100% sure about that. I don't know if that means we're going to get more than 6 packs, or if it just means everybody's going to be playing from 6 packs like we've been playing for the past, years. So, just a kind of an odd note to I'm looking for more clarification there, is really what it is. But as far as May 21st, that's going to be a day to peg on your calendars, only because new formats are forming all the time. We had Pauper, we had Frontier, we had even EDH was a new format at a time, and then. So any Brawl is a new format. So there's new formats popping up all the time. So I'm really looking forward to a set that highlights one of those formats. It'd be interesting to see like a set that highlights just Pauper. I don't know how that would work because Pauper is obviously just commons. So it would suck to open up a pack of common cards, but if they could release, Pauper packs for $1.99 or $2.50 or whatever, sure, I'd pay $2.50 to open up 15 commons if some of those were like the rare reprints or whatever. So it'd be interesting to see that later on down the line. But this is definitely Wizards dipping their toe in this. Let's step outside the box and kind of let's cater to some of these other formats and see what we can get out of it. Two-headed giant's always a fun format to play, so it's very casual because you can always you have your experienced player and then you have your less experienced player, and they can come together and play Magic together, and it doesn't get real competitive, so to speak, which it definitely can, but in all the pre-releases that I've been to, the two-headed giant events seem to be a little bit more casual, a little bit more laid back and stuff like that, so looking forward to it, definitely. Let's see here. So next up, we've got the Planeswalker decks for 2019. So the core set 2019, there's going to be five Planeswalker decks. So let's see here. I've seen a number of people guess that this might be the case. Well, gold stars for you. Core set 19 and core sets generally are great on-ramps for new players. So we're going to be making Planeswalker decks a bit friendlier to new players. Core set 19 will have 5 Planeswalker decks, 1 for each color. Most sets will only have 2 Planeswalker decks going forward. Here are the other changes that are coming to the core set 19. So before we get into the other changes, one of the biggest things about this is they're making Planeswalker decks for new people. So this is kind of interesting because you want to be cautious about buying these decks, and you want to know exactly. You want to know who they're for, right? The Planeswalker decks that are out right now, there's very few cards in this actual pack or in the actual decks that are viable for a intermediate to expert level player. But one of the things that this is a product is good for is getting new people in playing the game. You're able to pick up these decks. They will, and you see the first bullet point. It's they were $14.99, so it's a pretty easy on ramp for those new players, right? It's a very affordable way to get them franchised in the series. Getting a playable deck for $15 that it's a starter deck for sure. There's upgrade paths available, but typically your money is better spent. That $15 could be better spent. If you're planning on upgrading a deck, spending the $15 on these cards isn't, I haven't seen the decks yet, but in the past it hasn't been a viable option, right? So you kind of have to think about who you're playing with. If you're playing with your 7-year-old son who likes to sling spells and likes variety and isn't looking to hammer out a win at Friday Night Magic, or even casual play at local game stores or whatever, these decks, there's 1 or 2 copies of all the cards. There's not, you don't ever get play sets of any of it. The Planeswalker cards are usually overpriced as far as casting cost is concerned. You don't get duplicates of the Planeswalkers. The one trade-off is you usually get like a tutor card for your actual Planeswalker, so it's like having two in your deck. And recently they've gotten really good as to giving you that tutor card for 1 less than the actual Planeswalker costs, so that way you can cast the tutor for the Planeswalker on turn, like let's say 5, and then you go search for your 6-drop Planeswalker, and then on turn 6 you can actually play it. So they have kind of figured that one out. So again, like, you have to understand what these core set Planeswalkers are for. It's for bringing new players in. Typically there's 2 or 3 cards that aren't in the actual set that you can only get through the Planeswalker decks. One of the things that I would like to see Wizards do is make those cards actually standard playable. That would give a little bit more value to those Planeswalker decks. And I'm not talking about like reprinting Counterspell or reprinting Lightning Bolt in them, because that will make them irrelevant for new players because they just won't be on the shelves anymore. So you got to have to find that happy medium where the card isn't something so OP that all the pros are going to be looking for them, and people are just going to buy the the box, the $14.99 box, and then just piece out the rest of the deck just for that one card. So there is some backdraw to that concept, and I definitely understand that. But I think to make it more friendly to more players, not just new players, doing that, or maybe even including play sets of cards like the Challenger decks that they released. Those decks are actually viable Friday Night Magic decks. Like, you can pick one of those decks up for $29, $30, $35, or whatever the MSRP is, and take that to a Friday Night Magic, and you can actually win games with those things. They're viable decks. It's kind of scary. And you got to remember, like, Wizards, puts these decks together years in advance. So, like, they obviously can do some tweaking and things like that, but, like, they got to have their finger on the pulse just as close, as humanly possible. Otherwise, those decks would be pointless. So, anyway, let's kind of go back in and let's take a look and see what else is in here. So, there we go. So some of the changes going forward for Core Set 19. So we're going to be dropping the suggested retail price, the MSRP, from down to $10.99. That's down from $14.99. So even better value as far as getting new players in. So rather than spending $15, you're now spending $11. It's kind of an interesting point. One of the ways they can do this is they're actually only including 1 booster pack instead of 2. So this is kind of like a catch-22, right? Including 2 booster packs is nice because that gives you 30 cards, and you've got a 60-card deck sitting right next to you. I don't know if these decks come with sideboards or not. I can't remember. I don't think they do. Yeah, I'm almost positive they don't. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm almost positive that these Planeswalker decks do not come with sideboards, that the Challenger decks do come with sideboards. I'm not really 100% sure on that. But anyway, at any rate, so only including 1 booster pack in this is kind of sad because these are going to be one color specific, most likely. Usually a Planeswalker's in core sets were only one color. I think Nicol Bolas was the only one in my recent memory that was multicolored in a core set. I might be wrong on that too. I don't know. If my memory is fading, I'm sure the people in the comments below will let me know. And please do. I should have probably did that research before I started speaking. But anyway, So you figure these Planeswalker decks are going to be one for each color. So having that one pack of cards and opening it up and like, okay, I've got one, I bought the green Planeswalker deck and I opened up one green uncommon. And hey, guess what? It was Naturalize. Boo-hoo. Like, boo. That's feel bad. At least if you open up 2, you double your chances of opening up on-color cards. But at any rate, lower price is much better. If you wanted to buy booster packs, booster packs are meant for drafting. So I can see dropping it and dropping the price down an extra $5 or $4. That's value. Let's see here. And then this is an interesting statement. So they've designed the Planeswalker decks to be integrated with the welcome decks. So this is a weird. Because welcome decks are the free decks that you can pick up at local game stores. Walmart sells them for $10 for 2 of them, I believe. Don't buy those. Do not buy those at Walmart or Target. Go to the local game store. And if you don't know where your local game store is, post in the comments and I will help find you one, because we do not want to give any more money than we have to those places, because you can't play Magic at those places. You can't interact with Magic players at Walmart or Target. And local game stores need every penny that they can get. And if a welcome deck brings you in and it gets you involved in like Friday Night Magic, or gets you involved in a league, or gets you to buy some singles or packs or whatever, then they've done their job. But the welcome decks are for new players coming in that don't have any cards at all. So these decks basically get them started. They're commons and uncommons. There might be a rare or two like Shivan Dragon or whatever, to kind of get you started with the set, or with this, like with the card game. But it's really weird. These Planeswalker decks have been designed to better integrate with welcome decks. I guess I don't really quite understand. I don't understand where that's coming from. Because the welcome decks are very broad, and in fact, we had some. Where did those go? I wish I had them at hand. I wish I had them on hand, because we bought some when we were up on vacation, and we just wanted to play some games or whatever. And there was a local Walmart, and we just bought them because that's all that we had available. And they played pretty well. They're 40 card decks. They come with their own land, so you don't have to purchase land or anything like that. But I guess more information about that statement would be interesting. And maybe it was they were looking for another bullet point for the article. I don't know. So the last part of this section of the post says, additionally, we'll be allowing Wizards Play Network WPN stores to sell Planeswalker decks at open house 1 week prior to Core Set 19's pre-release. So this is much earlier than before. So they tried this with Dominaria, basically allowing players at pre-release, if you were in a pre-release event, you could buy the product right then and there, and that would basically cut off some of the sales revenue to the big box stores like Walmarts and Targets and places like that, because they couldn't sell that till the actual street date, which would be 1 week later. So they're talking about setting these Planeswalker decks out in open houses a whole week in advance of the pre-release. So 2 weeks prior to the set actually coming out, they're going to give out these core set packs, or not packs, excuse me, Planeswalker decks that will include at least one booster pack, right? It will include one booster pack instead of 2. But one thing is definitely clear, is this is further out, or much earlier than Wizards has ever released product like this. Now, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, it's kind of up in the air, because if you look at the top part of this article, right? Top part of the article basically states that these core set Planeswalker decks are meant for new players, right? So between when they pick these decks up, right, there is still two Friday Night Magics where they can use these cards and be eliminated from a tournament because they're using illegal cards. So I guess it's kind of weird that they're going to release them earlier. And I don't know. I feel like 1 week earlier was perfect. 2 weeks earlier gets a little confusing for newer players, I think. I don't know. I might be wrong. I mean, it's not confusing for me, but it might be confusing for someone that's never played the game before who's purchasing these core set precon decks. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm kind of curious. Is 2 weeks too early? Is 1 week perfect, or should everything just be released on the release date? What do you guys think? Let me know. All right. So moving on, the last thing we have to talk about is new content coming to the channel, specifically Magic content. I know we talk a lot about video games and board games and all that, and the Magic content's a little sparse on the channel, usually only happening on Mondays, and except for when pre-release is coming up or a new set's coming up, then you guys get freaking bombarded with videos. But one of the things that we wanted to do, since we didn't get to do pre-release with Eli, is we're going to do its tentative name is called a post pre-release tournament. So my wife, my son Eli, and myself, we've picked up enough packs to each player gets 6 packs between the 3 of us. We get to build a pre-constructed deck. Build a 40 card deck and basically play a pre-release but after the release. So we're calling it post pre-release tournament. Of course, that name is tentative. We'll see. We're gonna record that this weekend, and it's not gonna be streamed or anything like that. But we are gonna put it up on the YouTube channel, so youtube.com/72DPI online. I'm gonna mash up a couple different camera angles. We got the top down and each of the players' faces and things like that. But it'll be fun. I'm kind of curious to see how it goes. We got new camera equipment, so I'm kind of looking forward to using that. And yeah, so that's going to be our post pre-release tournament content coming out. And if it goes well, if it's popular, maybe we'll start doing this for every event or every set that comes out or whatever. So if you like it, please let us know in the comments below. If you're interested in playing, maybe we can open it up to more than just the 3 of us. I'm not sure. It's just kind of going to be how popular the videos are. So we're going to test it and see how it goes. The other announcement that I wanted to make is I've been talking to a few local game stores. Actually, I reached out to all of my local game stores and got in contact, and then whatever ones got back in contact with me. We've come to an agreement that we're going to be doing or able to record a new series that we're going to be putting up on the channel called Teaching Magic. And this is where essentially my son and I, we've talked about it on the show a little bit, but we've kind of hammered out a lot of the details. And in fact, I've got the 2 decks that we're starting out with right here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to teach new players how to play Magic through playing Magic. So we've created 2 very simplistic, very straightforward decks. There's a green deck and a blue deck. Each and the idea behind this is there's only going to be 2 or 3 abilities within each of the decks, and by after the first video is over and the second one starts, we're going to add in new abilities, and we're going to add in new cards, take some cards out, and change the deck around. And essentially by like the 4th or 5th video, you're gonna have the knowledge about the different mechanics, the different turns and things, or the different phases of the turn. We're even going to go as far as within the first season talking about multicolored decks. So one of the videos, probably video 3 or 4, we will add a second support color into each of the decks so that you can see how the 2 work together. It's a really fun idea. I've been kicking it around for a long time. I finally got the nerve up and actually talked to some of the local game stores. There's quite a few of them that are very excited about hosting us, so we'll actually be recording each episode at a different store for the series. Of course, we'll talk about sponsorship and all that stuff. But I just want to give a shout out to those. The stores actually replied and are really excited about it. It's been a long time coming, and it's gonna be great. I'm really excited about it. And it does good for our community, right? It brings more players into these events, into these tournaments. To enjoy a hobby that's a little on the pricey side, but it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't, and that's what we kind of want to show you guys. We'll put up the prices of each of the decks as they alter, and you can kind of see like how much money you would have spent purchasing each of these decks, and kind of like the end result that I want to go for is having like a Friday Night Magic / casual deck that you can play with, right? So I can see like the green one turning into an elves, like a modern elves deck. Maybe not like tier 1 elves, but some form of the elves deck. And then like the blue deck will turn into like a blue green Merfolk deck or whatever. Still modern because there's a bigger card pool there. But that's kind of the idea. I'm really, like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited about this project, and hopefully the videos turn out good, and very much so like the pre-release videos. If you like that kind of thing, if you're interested in those videos and you really like them, make sure when we post them, make sure you comment, share, like, do all those things to make sure that more people see them and they get more eyes on them, because that will tell us, hey, let's make more videos like this in this nature. So we got quite a few different ideas planned for that, but that we've got the decks built, we've got the upgrades built for the future episodes. Basically, we've got new equipment that we're working with now. Essentially, at this point, all we got to finish up is like the scripts and like the schedule as far as what stores we're going to be in at what time. So I'm looking to start recording these probably by late May. And then posting them mid to late June. So kind of looking forward to it. So if you guys have any questions or suggestions or anything like that, I'm all ears. Just leave them in the comments below. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much everything I've got. Make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Get subscribed, leave us a comment, tell us what you think, what you're looking forward as far as the core set goes. Are you excited that the Wizards is bringing the core sets back, to kind of fulfill that niche that we needed for, new players, as well as needed reprints that couldn't come into a set like Dominaria or a set like Kaladesh that just wouldn't fit the theme. Are you excited about that? Are you pissed off that they're bringing these back? You're like, oh no, this takes away from the themed sets, and that's not your cup of tea. So yeah, I'm kind of curious what you guys are thinking. So leave it in the comments below. We'll see you guys next Monday. It's the same place, twitch.tv/72DPI online. Yeah, and we'll see you back here. Make sure you check a couple videos out on the channel, and we'll see you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.